Caitlin Clark is going to the WNBA All-Star Game in Chicago. She will start, she will play, she will be on the floor at the United Center on Saturday night in front of what is expected to be the largest audience in the history of the WNBA All-Star Game. But she is not going to the three-point contest on Friday night. She was invited, she declined, and according to ESPN's Alexa Philippou, she was not alone. Sabrina Ionescu, the reigning three-point contest champion, who holds the highest score in the event's history at 37 points, also declined. Kayla McBride, the active leader in WNBA career three-pointers with 793, also declined. The three players who would have made the Friday night event a legitimate must-watch attraction all said no. And the basketball world immediately started asking why.
Fell asleep trying to watch the WNBA three-point contest. Oh, don't look at me like that. Do not look at me like that. You know, this WNBA All-Star Weekend has been absolute trash so far. It's been absolute garbage. Let's keep it real. We get on NBA All-Star Weekend saying it's whack. This is whack. Okay, and I know one thing. I will be live for the game tomorrow. I'll be live 30 minutes before the game starts. Come and join me for the watch party for the game.
This is WNBA shock. And Clark's decision to skip the three-point contest tells you something important about where the WNBA's All-Star Weekend structure is right now. Let me start with what the field for the three-point contest actually looks like without Clark, Ionescu, and McBride. Azzi Fudd, Marina Mabrey, Rhyne Howard, Bridget Carlton, Natisha Hiedeman, Janelle Salon. That is a six-player field expanded for the first time since 2023. Those are real shooters. Mabrey leads the entire WNBA with 82 made threes entering the break. Howard is second with 79. Fudd is the #1 overall pick from the 2025 draft and the biggest emerging name in the sport. The field is not embarrassing.
So, Azzi Fudd won the WNBA All-Star three-point shootout. Congratulations to Azzi Fudd, the first rookie in WNBA history to win it. Were you entertained? I watched it, for what I could stay up for. Wasn't exciting, but Azzi Fudd did shoot the ball really well. Bridget Carlton shot the ball really well. But it's just lackluster. And here's the thing at the end of the day. If the stars of the quote-unquote stars of your league.
But it is not Caitlin Clark. It is not Sabrina Ionescu. It is not Kayla McBride. And casual sports fans who tuned in hoping to see Clark pull up from 35 feet in a controlled environment on national television are going to have to wait for the actual game on Saturday night. That is a real loss for the event. Outkick said so directly. They called Clark's decision a major blow to All-Star Weekend and ESPN. The event's commercial value is directly connected to the names in the field, and the three biggest names the league could have put in that field all said no. Why did they say no? CBS Sports offered the most honest explanation. They wrote that All-Star Weekend has become such an economic engine that it is no longer a break. Players, especially those as popular as Clark and Ionescu, are shuttled from appearance to appearance to satisfy sponsors and fans. For players who are also playing in the All-Star Game, the entire weekend disappears. Declining the three-point contest is one of the few ways they can reclaim some of their time. And for Clark specifically, both she and Ionescu have been dealing with injuries they are still working to fully overcome. Clark spent 5 games on the injury list from the back and groin issues after the Thomas incident. She is still working back to full health. Adding a shooting competition on top of an All-Star Game appearance in the same weekend is a medical decision as much as a preference decision.
I don't blame Caitlin Clark for not showing up after everything this league has put her through, all the hate that's been coming her way. I wouldn't want to show up to any of this stuff either. Let's keep it real. I wouldn't want to show up to none of this if I'm Caitlin Clark. And I don't blame her for standing 10 toes down and boycotting all these events unless it's about her sneakers, her shoes coming out, or the actual game. I don't blame Caitlin Clark for not going and supporting none of this nonsense. Y'all have completely.
Nobody is talking about the Ionescu wrinkle that made this story even more complicated. Let me explain. Philippou's ESPN report said all three players declined invitations. Ionescu pushed back on social media. She indicated she was never actually invited to participate. She called the claim that she declined inaccurate. If Ionescu was not invited, that means the WNBA's framing of the situation, that they invited their biggest names and the names said no, is not fully accurate. The league may have told ESPN that players declined when some of those players believed they were not properly invited in the first place. That is a communication breakdown between the league and its players about All-Star Weekend programming. And it is exactly the kind of organizational friction that the Clark and WNBA relationship has been generating all season. Do not get me wrong, Clark skipping the three-point contest is not a boycott. The language of boycott implies a political or protest dimension that is not present here. Clark did not walk out. She did not issue a statement condemning the event. She did not demand the league address specific grievances before she would participate. She declined an optional side event. Players skip three-point contests all the time. LeBron James has never competed in the NBA three-point contest. That does not make him a boycotter. It makes him a player who chose not to do the skills competition. Clark made the same choice, but the context around her choice matters more than the choice itself. Clark has now declined the WNBA three-point contest 3 consecutive years. She declined in 2024, she pulled out of 2025 due to injury, and now she has declined the 2026 invitation 3 consecutive years. The player who has the most marketable three-point shot in the WNBA, who just went 5 of 9 from 3 against the Connecticut Sun in the first game back from the All-Star break, has never competed in the league's three-point contest, and every year the absence is a story. The WNBA also has a problem with teammate representation at this All-Star weekend that WNBA Pro is not going to ignore. Kelsey Mitchell and Sophie Cunningham were not selected for the All-Star game. Mitchell, who has been the Fever's most consistent performer during Clark's injury absence and who averaged 24 points per game over a 4-game stretch, beating the defending champions, was not selected. Cunningham, who went 6 of 7 from 3 in the biggest shooting performance of the Fever's season, was not selected. Clark, Boston, and Mitchell were announced as the first 3 All-Star starters in franchise history earlier in the season. But the final roster construction left significant contributors off the team, and Clark competing in the three-point contest while her teammates were not invited to the weekend at all would have required a level of organizational goodwill that may not be present right now. Stay with me, because here is what the 3 consecutive three-point contest absences tell you about the WNBA's relationship with Clark as an event draw. The WNBA needs Clark to be in its showcase events, not just the All-Star game, the skills competitions, the appearances, the orange carpet, the media availability. Every piece of the All-Star weekend machinery runs better when Clark is central to it.
Hey, how are you? Really nice to meet you. You're great. You're fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you.
Don't let all this nonsense get you down.
It's crazy. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you know,
Crazy.
I always say
Don't worry. I need to just
one of the things that was luckiest for me was I didn't get famous till I was like 45. So I was an old man. I mean, you're my daughter's age. They're not to have that much, burden and nonsense. So don't lose that joy. The game's like
The CBS Sports report raised the question of whether the three-point contest has a long-term credibility problem if its biggest names consistently opt out. That is the right question. The event needs marquee participation to grow, and the marquee player has said no 3 times. What the league has not done is make the three-point contest compelling enough that Clark wants to be in it. The structure, the compensation, the recognition, something about how the event is organized is not working for the players it needs most. Until the WNBA diagnoses that problem and addresses it, the three-point contest will be a technically solid event that reaches a fraction of the audience it could reach with Clark in the field. Here is the bottom line. Clark declined the three-point contest. So did Ionescu and McBride. The remaining field is real, but lacks the names that drive casual viewership. Clark's decision is not a boycott. It is a reasonable choice by a player managing injuries, schedule, and a complicated relationship with All-Star weekend obligations.
Clark has not shown up to anything WNBA related outside of a shoot around and all of her Nike events for her shoes. She showed up to a shooting practice. She got interviewed by the media, and she went to her events for her shoes. Caitlin Clark is not supporting any of this WNBA All-Star activation stuff. She's not doing any of it. If it ain't about her shoes, she not going. And I don't blame her. It's about time she stopped trying to be nice to all these people and put her foot down.
But 3 consecutive years of declining the same event is a pattern. And patterns in professional sports always mean something. Clark starts the All-Star game Saturday night at the United Center. WNBA Pro will be watching every minute. Because if the three-point shot that went 5 of 9 against the Sun shows up on the All-Star floor against the best players in the league, that is the moment that answers every question about whether the injury break fixed what was broken. This is WNBA Shock. Smash subscribe if you want the coverage that tells you what every WNBA headline actually means. Drop your take in the comments. Was Clark right to skip the three-point contest, or should she have participated for the good of the event? I want every opinion. Hit the notification bell because the All-Star game is tonight.